Predictions better, but we get first pick Udyr on the way in. Gwen banned out as well. Viego off the table. Tristana banned. Lee Sin top is going to be up as an option for Ssumday, but also a lot of very good bot laners. Keep in mind, we are still on 11-11, so Kaisa high priority. Rumble high priority as well. Didn't think TSM was going to steal it away, but Thieves want the reaction on their third pick.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. You know, I was thinking that, hey, Lee Sin, we could be seeing it as a flex when that was getting hovered. Of course, Rumble gets locked in alongside it. We did see some Lee Sin jungle last week, but very likely will be Lee Sin top. Of course, Abbeddage could be taking it towards the mid lane. We have seen some Lee Sin mid. Pole Belter played it a couple times last week, and Abbeddage was known for a lot of these really aggressive mid laners, things like the Akali, these aggressive melee style champions. Lee Sin does kind of fit the bill, so I'm going to be interested to see if that will be for him or if they're going to be saving this for later. With Lucian and Gragas coming through, this is pretty interesting stuff because it could be Gragas up towards top as tank or AP. This could actually be SwordArt playing support Gragas. This could be Lucian top. This could be Lucian mid. We saw Lucian top was played earlier in the LEC, so a lot of flex action going on the TSM side.
My expectation here, and obviously I can stand
Lucian
to be wrong.
Mid, Gragas top.
Yes, is that Gragas is picked as an answer to Lee Sin. Keep in mind, all of Lee Sin's movement abilities are pretty well telegraphed, and so you can like body slam to interrupt Lee Sin Q and save your teammates. I think if you're rushing to pick a Gragas support, I think there are stronger supports out there. Thresh right now hitting the ban table is the first support ban, so that's my guess. But yes, of course it could be flex.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even in the LEC when I was watching that earlier today, Lucian was played specifically into the Lee Sin matchup. So if you want to go aggressive, it is an option, and those are the most likely roles for Lucian to be mid and Gragas to be top, but I always like keeping your options open to be able to flex out of a bad matchup. If something gets locked in mid lane and you're saying, all right, I actually don't want to play against this, you could potentially move that around, try to get yourself set up in a good position. We saw EG, though they lost the game, actually do that very well, putting their Tristana mid up against the Karma top and actually having a very effective laning phase as a result. Being able to dodge a tough melee matchup, but now banning out some of those mid laners. Victor coming through as a ban, so TSM at the very least is thinking that Lee Sin will be more towards topside. Looks like they missed their last ban.
Interesting. All right, well, Thieves time to make some choices. Obviously, they've already locked in Kaisa for the bottom lane. The ability to play Senna with a non-Tom Kench support also available. Honestly, farming Gragas probably could fit the bill, so a possibility that TSM goes that side of the matchup. Kaisa being short-ranged, fairly easy to poke out, could be a decent lane if we want to see that one happen. But TSM have to lock in their entire comp, seeing Leona support now.
And if you want to go towards Nautilus, you're kind of giving yourself a disadvantageous support matchup. A lot of people really do like the Leona into that. If they wanted to pair the Rakan with Xayah, again, disadvantageous support matchup there for SwordArt. So I do like the bans of both the Thresh and the TK, and then going towards Leona. Most of the common champions these days are going to have a tough time against Leona, so you go the more defensive route. They are going to be lower on engage, so more of an emphasis on the engage, very likely from that top side from Huni. You need Gragas to be the one really nailing that. But there's so much dive in the meta right now. I think Braum is really strong into that, being able to throw up the wall against things like the Syndra ulti, against the Lee Sin coming through, being able to lock down some of these champions that are going to be short range. The passive stuns coming through, of course, very quickly, not only from the Xayah, but also the Lucian. And it was actually Akali, excuse me. I thought the Syndra did get locked, so Akali coming through. This was one of the champions that Abbeddage was really known for in the LEC. He is an incredibly aggressive player when he is at his best. I do think he can shine on this pick, and it's going to be exciting to see this up against the Lucian. Of course, it will be favored towards Lucian in the early levels, but if you can maintain, a small CS deficit, get towards level 6, you can often look for all-ins. There's multiple squishy champions over on that TSM side that you could be looking towards, but that can be complicated by the fact that Braum will likely bring exhaust against a lot of these champions.
All right, well, end of champ select ticking down. Gragas is indeed top lane. Lucian in mid up against the Akali. Now, we saw this matchup in the MSI finals, and even though Showmaker was the stronger player overall, still lost lane as the Akali side of this matchup. Expecting Lucian to have quite a bit of priority here, especially a very strong player like PowerOfEvil. But yes, Abbeddage, not only can he play 3 games of Karma and win 2 of them and be a major factor for success, but back on the Assassins here as well. Knew his matchup, right? Last pick of the draft, knew the entire comp on both sides and said, all right, it's time for Assassins. Let's get in there and knock things down. And I'm excited about this game. TSM are the current #1 team in one of the day. #1 in the standings, TSM. #1 in my head, 100 Thieves. Let's do battle.
Man, I've never seen that Gragas skin before. Or maybe it's just a chroma I've never seen. That bright pink. What is that skin?
That is exciting. Is I want to say it's Vandal Gragas with a chroma.
Huh. Interesting. Never seen it. Or it could be a new one. Maybe it's a new one and we just haven't seen it yet. Because no one really plays Gragas in solo queue, to be honest with you.
Yep. That's true, too.
This is Phase Rush Gragas, so going to be interesting to see which route he does go. I am expecting it to be more likely tank, but Huni is his own man. He likes playing the aggressive style, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him go more of an AP mix, especially because they are playing double marksman, maybe feeling like they need a little bit of that magic damage to try to punish the lack of MR that there will likely be.
Yes, and also want to point out, because you can tell from rune choices, Closer is going to be doing a bit more of the Bruiser-focused build, from what I can tell. With Conqueror on Rumble, you go Riftmaker. You tend to be able to sit in melee range a little bit longer because you're going to get a lot of that Omnivamp stacking up, either from Conqueror 10 stack or obviously from Riftmaker itself, and so you survive a bit longer and can frontline a bit more. There is a Leona for pure tank. In fact, this is a 4 melee team, and heck, Kaisa herself might just dive into the back line, so very forward motion on the Thieves side. See if they can kill people.
And it's kind of similar to some of the stuff that we actually saw TSM running last week, where they did the Nocturne Rumble and they did Viego mid, and they wanted to go for full dive. We're seeing more teams kind of experimenting with this style of composition. Huni getting an early ward there. Can proc phase rush if he needs, but he didn't actually get their 3rd hit. So now he's going to take free autos on the way out. And that was a bit poorly done. If you want to body slam in there, you need to make sure you stay for that last auto. But once you delay, it does reset, so he would have had to go for 3 more and couldn't. And as a result, he just kind of takes a little bit of a poor trade there, but can use the Gragas passive to heal it right back up.
I will say, though, it cost Ssumday his one and only Trinket ward. I believe he just put that down in Tri-Brush to just ward hop in and auto attack. So that's a gankable route right there as the bot laners fight. Good damage on a lost. 5th auto's going to hit. And that means he's down to 200 HP, can potion back up. But I am curious, right? Like, is that going to punish Ssumday now not having a ward for possible jungle gank?
It's definitely possible. I mean, the trouble is always that I feel like, especially with Udyr, you know, he's tracked so well these days. It's almost always a 6 game clear, unless you're going to have some variance in your pathing, which we know right now that Spica is not. I don't think you really will be punished by that, but it is an interesting point. There is that cost if we do see Spica head up there early on.
And for now, Huni's standing back up, just, you know, keeping track of the score. Hey, okay, he's back to full HP, hasn't used his potion. Maybe he's going to be fine, but you're absolutely right. That is still a risk incurred that, you know, always could have been enough damage to tilt the lane phase. So far, though, he's going to be fine. Very small farm lead overall to TSM's side. Bot lane is close. PowerOfEvil's ahead, which you very much expect in Lucian versus Melee. So we'll see at what point Abbeddage turns that around. Farms what he can, but he's getting autoed.
Exactly, and a lot of it really is just about just trying to withstand the onslaught. When you're playing Akali into this, trying to utilize your Shroud to get as much farm as possible, it's more about, you know, avoiding too much poke, deciding which minions you can actually fight for, which you just need to give up. If you try to fight for every minion in a matchup like this, you end up getting actually a lot less overall because you just take too much damage. You really need to try to avoid, you know, PTA procs from your opponent, try to sidestep as many of those Qs as you can, and it's kind of just this defensive minigame for the first number of levels for Akali, where you're just trying to be as close to Lucian as possible. You know, you're going to be behind if the Lucian is good, but you're trying to stay as close to parity as you possibly can.
Right now, as the minions get pushed into the turret, not a lot of turret plate damage, but there is still going to be that 5 to 6 CS lead in the mid lanes. That's what Pee-wee's earned so far, as the lane's going to more or less reset and be in a fairly normal spot. Fighting over wards, no big deal in the bottom lane here. Farm very close between these two bottom laners. Looks like it is a very small lead on FBI's side. Closer did not recall after Gromp. His Krug's coming up in about 5 seconds, and so he's going to be slightly late to cycling his jungle. Not going to matter too much, but he chose to stay around in case there was a play instead of being farm efficient. Top laners battling back and forth, still a very small lead toward Huni.
Yeah, TSM's bot lane was playing very defensive, right? You know, the lane was pushing away from them, so I think Closer's saying, hey, if they push a little bit aggressively, I can get something big here, so it's kind of worth the opportunity cost of cycling your camps a little bit more slowly. Of course, seeing that the Gromp, or rather the Krugs have respawned and that Closer isn't up there, does give some information to TSM. You can be expecting that Rumble, you know, is going to be up on the top side looking for this, and exactly, they're anticipating where he could be, so now you can play very well around that, and this is kind of that evolution of jungle tracking, where you don't always need to know where the jungler is. Often where he isn't is actually telling you just as much. Yeah, we actually just saw missing pings on the Raptors as well. There was a chance that Ward saw one of the Raptors move, and so that's why they knew, but also the fact that the camp is up and Krugs weren't being hit says, well, also through that, we think he's there. Now they're ping, hey, he's probably up towards Krugs, no other camps up from the go for, and AD is topside.
right now. Huni, though, he's under his turret. Like, the man's not diveable. So far, so good. TSM dodging around Rumble's early game.
Exactly. I mean, they're pinging it. They found out that he was around the Raptors area. So then if he does not go to Krug, guess what he's doing? He's looking for a gank, right? So then you play defensive. Once he shows on the Krugs, then you can go back to playing the game how you want to play. Huni's out of mana, though. Does have to be careful.
Without ulti, though, Ssumday should not have the damage that matters. Yeah, easy, I think, W auto E. That's enough to get away. No problems for Huni, but he's going to back this lane now.
And I think Ssumday did a good job of actually trading pretty consistently, and that kind of is your advantage, that you are resourceless here on the Lee Sin. So even though Gragas can spend his mana to utilize the passive and heal back up over time, you're more taxing the mana often than you are really taxing that HP. So some aggressive trading there does, at the very least, get Ssumday the earlier recall, and he can just walk straight back to lane.
Yeah, he's going to feel pretty good about that one. The wave is meeting, but yeah, he won't lose too much farm, so it's an easy teleport save. That means there's a big fight on the bot side. It's going to be easy stuff. Always want to get Iron Spike Whip for your recall if you can. It means you can start to one-shot the back wave with E plus active. And that's going to feel good for the Lee Sin. It gives you all the lane control you really need. And it lets you kind of be the first to move in a lot of cases.
And because Huni was he couldn't actually push the wave fast. So I think Ssumday didn't miss any experience there whatsoever on that recall, even though it wasn't actually a cannon wave. He got there in time. So he's going to be feeling pretty good about that. And Huni is, in fact, going towards AP. Likely will be Everfrost here coming through with the Lost Chapter. That's pretty much always going to be the option. You pointed out 4 melee champions as well as Kaisa that wants to dive in. Everfrost can be very, very effective in those situations to be able to just peel for your double marksman as they're kiting back. TSM is very much so going to be wanting to play defensive here.
He's also one of the only magic damage threats on the team. I mean, technically, Phoenix Udyr, sure, like he exists and it's not 0, but otherwise, armor stacking is going to kind of let you ignore TSM's comp. So, yeah, it fits out there really well. Obviously, one of the meta calls in League right now is, okay, mid marksmen are really, really common. A lot of comps run them. So how do we get enough magic damage? Well, tank Udyr is not that. Rumble is very good early, but he stops getting abilities that scale post 13. So good luck being a late game magic threat. So, okay, AP Gragas is one of the options. I think it's a totally viable choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most teams are going towards kind of AP junglos and trying to figure out how they were getting that in. You know, obviously Morgana has fallen out of favor, has received some pretty significant nerfs. So I know people were experimenting with some of the other AP junglers. You know, I've heard talk about experiments with fiddlesticks. I'm not sure if we'll end up seeing that on the stage. Because as you say, people really want a lot of these AD mid laners. They're the most popular picks right now for that lane. They're the ones that can play aggressive. People are not happy with AP itemization as far as mid lane does go. So, you know, finding out where you take your AP is a challenge that a lot of teams are having to face in draft. And Gragas threatens the squishies who are going to be building some armor. Like, we're going to see Abbeddage build Seekers and Gozonias and whatever, and you can threaten that. But AP Gragas never threatens your front line, right? So if Leona is getting very tanky, the burst is usually not enough. So like as a tank or someone who wants to build those sorts of stats, you can just go towards HP, and generally Gragas is not going to be a big threat for the sustained damage.
True. Just depends if you're going to get kind of chunked off and just really early on, and maybe you have enough damage to burst out a Lee Sin or something. That can be the hope. As we move on, Spica back through his jungle. Farm pretty much identical here for these players. We're at 8 camps apiece, roughly. Rumble maybe 1 camp behind. I nice that one. That's good. Dodge away from what could have been the body slam and just jump back to the minion. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it doesn't mean anything, but it's really cool.
It is cool. I mean, it's those little things that sometimes mean something over the course of a lane when you can create these small advantages. In this case, yeah, of course, it doesn't really matter. Both of them are pretty up on resources. Yeah, I mean, that can be a little bit of it, where there's unironically some hesitation next time he goes in for the Q. If you're expecting him to fake, you may hold on to your body slam. Maybe you react too late. But those little plays are always nice to see. There's no reason not to do it as the Lee Sin, I'll say that much.
Yeah, of course. So far, so good. Next set of recalls come across. Spica's got his Bomby Cinder. He's on the way forward. We get the Hextech Alternator out of the Rumble. So it is actually Night Harvester. So the Keystone not matching what I thought was going to be the Mythic build. Unless he's doing... he could Rocket Belt, I suppose. Sure, as the other option, I think, is the other way that builds in. But I don't think he's rushing Horizon Focus. So yeah, unlikely then. But we'll see what comes out of this. Always a chance. I want the early power spike, and I'm still going to Riftmaker. There's a lot of build variability, technically out there, and I'm curious if that does happen. But otherwise, Riftmaker coming through. Or sorry, Night Harvester coming through as I misspeak. And Spica now going for a fairly early 10-minute Dragon. Keep in mind, sold the first Drake 2.5 minutes ago. Now getting Rift Herald.
And I feel like we're seeing more variation on some of these builds for common champions. Like Viego, we saw a lot of different options. And Zhao, we saw a lot of different options. Rumble last week, we actually saw Portabelt, Riftmaker, as well as the Night Harvester. So that has been a bit refreshing to see. Is then going to be an engage.
Big engage, ult to the top, big damage, but Spica is out cleanly. Huhi taking some culling damage, and the cask is decent, but the kick flash gonna put Huni inside the team comp, and 100 Thieves find first blood in the top scuttle fight.
Nicely done, 100 Thieves. They move all their members up, they commit to the fight, and they just immediately push Spica, and a lot of the other members just straight out of the fight. You know, TSM was kind of split where Huni is coming from that top side, and we saw PowerOfEvil, Spica, all in this little corridor where they get hit by the equalizer, they get pushed out, and Huni, as this AP Gragas, is just sectioned off. And 100 Thieves did a really good job of controlling this space. Look where TSM are retreating. All three of those members can essentially now not really enter the fight. Huni can't exit out through that equalizer because he didn't want to walk up that way. Ssumday is on top of him, so despite the ultimate being dropped there by Huni to try to shake things up a little bit, gets kicked right back in by a nice kick flash and does go down, plus they get the Herald. So yes, TSM got first Dragon, but after this Herald comes down, you're expecting a 1K plus gold lead here for 100 Thieves.
All right, feeling pretty good on the 100 Thieves side right now, because yeah, as we said, or as you said, you're going to expect that 300 gold to come in from Herald, and likely more, to be honest. We've got one plate down in the top, so maybe a bit more pressure gets that the rest of the way. Since when he's taking that death, he's going to be very slightly under-leveled in some cases, so maybe you find that move going on. Did keep his flash, though, so may get away from dives without much issue. Lost playing safe. Doesn't want to have to burn ult to trade for Leona spells. Those cooldowns are way worse on the Xayah side, so just going for long-range Qs to last hit.
One thing I didn't actually get a chance to talk about yet, but SwordArt is not playing Exhaust. I'm actually very surprised that he's not playing Exhaust against Lee Sin and Akali, as well as Kaisa, who wants to dive in. Ignite feels like if you feel you can pressure the lane, and maybe they thought that they could, but Exhaust has such incredible value against this team.
Oh, big stun into the Shroud goes Akali. Reinforcement coming soon. Abbeddage goes right in for the play. A ton of damage. Spica down to 300 health and just crushed Abbeddage on the scoreboard with the Akali. Explosive Cask buys a bit of time. Ult 2 just to get back to the team. No other play to be had. 100 Thieves fighting better.
Nicely done there. They find the play. TSM was looking for Abbeddage, but not able to finish off that play. I mean, he had the Shroud available. He buys enough time. Closer and Huhi are moving up. They get the kill. They'll get the Dragon. And now at this point, you know, I talked about minimizing the deficit. Abbeddage is down 15 CS, but he has a kill to his name, so who cares? You're even now with the Lucian, who has no defensive stats whatsoever. And at this point, it gets very scary as that Lucian player, because Abbeddage does have the ability to threaten the solo kills, especially once the Mythic is completed. And they're going to extend this gold lead here. Getting pretty big at this point, going to be up around, closing in on that 2K mark.
Yeah, feeling really good right now. So, plate's going to drop in about 30 seconds. No one's pressuring any lanes. It is just going to be the 2-plate take. But hey, Rift Herald worth 100 gold for the kill, 320 for knocking down 2 plates. All right, not a bad ejected play for a kill you got over the top as well. And we take some recalls pretty soon. Obviously, decent amount of money on FBI. And going towards the most likely Gale Force could be Kraken Slayer. Either one's going to be fine. And then, you know, a bit of AD as well. I'm curious if the one longsword means he's more likely to go Phantom Dancer instead of just finishing a serrated Dirk, or if that was just like a recall timing thing.
Yeah, could just be a recall timing. Could be interesting to see where he does go. We're seeing more players. Like I feel like it used to always just be Mythic plus Collector, and now I am seeing more variation of people going into just straight Mythic, into the PD, not placing as much value onto the Collector. So interesting to see a little bit of variation here. Yeah. And with the Kraken Slayer completed, I do expect that it's just going to be PD second.
It makes sense. I mean, if you're trying to like make a thematic build, I think Gale Force and Collector make sense together, right? You're playing more Assassination. You've got functionally 2 actives, right? The Gale Force and the 5% kill from Collector. The lethality makes sense with the Q. But yeah, if you're Kraken Slayer, you're going for the auto-attack focus build. So you want the attack speed. You want the other complementary stats. So it makes sense to go Kraken Slayer, Phantom Dancer. And one longsword is enough to wait around for a while and then build a second and then go towards Zeal. And off you go to the races. But now you've got plays from TSM ready for the counterpunch. Looking as 3 towards the bot side. I mean, FBI can wave clear, and that turret on its last leg, just about 1,000 health. Also a blue buff steal. Gonna be smited. Spica didn't want, I guess our GPU already has one, so feels safe to just smite it and walk away.
Yeah, not too much of a risk there. Nice little invade, though, taking away the blue buff. There wasn't any counterplay to be had on the other side, as they'd already cleared theirs out. Everfrost complete here now for Huni. So can even use that as part of his combo, even just with the E, Everfrost plus auto, proc the phase rush, retreat. Not much of a recourse there for Ssumday, and the wave clear gets pretty good once you have some levels into that Q as well as a bit of AP under your belt. It's pretty hard to actually get much turret damage down as the Lee Sin.
Absolutely, because if you try anything, he almost one-shots the wave and knocks you into the wall, and you're like, I am in front of the turret, and there's no minions, and this is going to hurt a lot. Now a big cast almost lands the root, but he's got Rumble. There's the flash, there's the kick, the ward hop as well. Huni needs one more body slam. Is he going to land it? Yes, he is! Huni is on the board!
Nicely done. The clean mechanics there from Huni. Body slam, flash, immediate ultimate. He didn't leave any gap for that to be flashed by the Lee Sin. I like how he did not do that. In this case, he didn't need the added damage. And sometimes players do greed out for an additional auto in there. Gives an opening to escape as Huhi pushing forward, but Lost will not even have to blow that ultimate. So pretty calm play from him. TSM do strike on that top side, but 100 Thieves with the addition of the Rift Herald damage down on the bottom side have now knocked down that first tower.
Big damage from the ultis. Huhi might just drop it. Indeed, it happens. Now Abbeddage goes right back in and trades mid laner for support. Feels good, but a stun on Akali is dangerous. Pops the ultimate. Lost on the way out. Cannot survive. Just can't build the space. Closer burns the stopwatch. Is there a re-engage? Q is timed well, but the shield was up. A triple kill for the Akali. Abbeddage is feeling great. Finding so many kills now, 5-2, 100 Thieves.
Abbeddage off the Karma freedom! He's playing the assassin, he's flashing over walls, he's doing kickflips, taking them down left and right. 4-0 on the champion has gotta feel good for him. Getting a chance to show off those mechanics, to really show what people thought they were bringing him in for. And now it's even more powerful as we watch in the Honda performance play here. He can play the Karma, showed that last week. Here he goes on the Assassin as TSM just overcommitted. I think they lost track of the fact that the Equalizer was still available. They funnel in Abbeddage R1 into the immediate E, catches onto PowerOfEvil, who dashes away, but that E was still connected, so there's no escaping. He goes back in, saving the Shroud for really good timing in his fight against Lost there, and is able to flash over the wall, grab a third kill. He's now got the Proto Belt, the Tier 2 boots. He's got the Seekers as well. He is ready to dominate this game.
SwordArt just flashed away from it. Would have been, I believe, a Zenith Blade out of Huhi's Leona, so more cooldowns missing. TSM trying to fight for the top Herald, but it has lost the last fight. This one probably doesn't look any better. Maybe a Smite fight, not gonna happen. Cleaned up by Closer. And he can walk his way back in. 4 Mythics done on the 100 Thieves side. Huhi just on his boots right now, but with the stopwatch ready to go, still fairly durable. 100 Thieves are feeling good as they can walk down towards this third dragon of the game.
I mean, when you're this strong now as Akali and there's no exhaust on the other side, there's no locket completed, there's no added defensive items, you're looking at the 2 ADs, 0 MR purchased by either one. Like, this is a dream game. You can absolutely 100-0 either the Lucian or the Xayah. If you can actually connect to them, get into the backline, hit him with the E, they're pretty much donezo. So we'll see if he can actually make good on the lead that he's now created for himself.
Yeah, see if he can manifest the rest of this one as, well, this Herald summoned a little bit too close to the midpoint of the lane and does a whole fat nothing. 25 gold handed back over to whoever last hit it, but whatever. Dragon still theoretically on the board, cleared out by FBI. The mid wave is, and off they go to the bottom river.
The slight win, I guess, is that TSM did bring everyone towards mid lane, so the side lanes did get pushed. Top lane will lose some of that farm, so there's a slight edge there as far as the experience and the CS is concerned. Ssumday winning out in that regard. They'll grab the dragon here, and they're just going to continue looking to invade. They want to scrap, especially in the jungle here, looking for fights consistently. Really does benefit 100 Thieves when you're playing with the Rumble. Anytime the Equalizer is available, you can really look to get aggressive there, because TSM funneling through these tight choke points in the jungle is just not going to work for them.
It's not. It's been tough. Rumble over the top, Akali to finish the deal. Kaisa, if you really need it, just in case. It's been a good look. 100 Thieves so far have found another comp that works well, and they are easily battling the #1 team in current standings. Went 3-0 last week.
Here comes Akali.
3-1 run as now Huni has to try to get away, but he's got nowhere to go. Over the top goes Equalizer. Huhi finds out the first kill, calling in a retreat now for the TSM mid laner, but Spica just gonna drop as well. 100 Thieves always ready to fight, and every single time they win it.
And now they're going for the Baron here. Abbeddage did not commit the ulti, neither did Ssumday. So the solo laners still have ultimates available here on 100 Thieves, making their turn more powerful. Their Baron take is not that fast, though. We'll see if they're going to commit to this or if TSM will push in and try to force them off.
It's going to be tough, but they can try. They got a little bit of front line. 4,000 health, though, on the Baron. Easy spite at 900. They're going to turn for the fight. It's going to be lost. Kick towards the wall. They will give up Baron and take the kill instead. 100 Thieves, how much has it leashed, though, is the question. That gets about half closer. He's almost dead. He's got to be real careful. When he gets the shield back from cooldown, can walk in and use that. End of the day, they're going to say, you know what, we don't need smite. There's no steals available. They grab it. No problem. 100 Thieves grab a sub-21-minute Baron.
They are dominating in this one. Let's watch it one more time. TSM trying to go for the invade. Huni goes in with the body slam flash, but who's going to follow up on that? It's just Udyr that is there with you. Lost is not in position, neither is PowerOfEvil, and then again, it's these jungle corridors. As TSM try to commit into this fight, Equalizer gets dropped in the corridor, the marksmen have to retreat, 100 Thieves has their carries free firing.
And it looks really good. The early game has snowballed into an avalanche now in the mid-game, only 21 minutes in, but the Red Bull Baron on for 2 minutes 20. It'll time out before the next dragon spawns, but they're likely to crack an inhibitor with this.
Yeah, I mean, when you have double Zhonya's complete as well, that is really frightening this early on. Closer as well as Abbeddage have that completed. You can see the PD plus a BF on top. The Locket is coming through. Like, they have everything they need right now to take fights.
Okay, well, they don't have everything they need for the Gromp as Ssumday ward hops, take the blast plan away. Good awareness. Stun's going to land, but hey, Lost has cleanse. So ulti. Gale Force used to get off the Equalizer. SwordArt tanks a Kaisa W, and now it's some damage on the mid turret. Half HP, but Ssumday, I believe he's out of wards to hop to, so we'd have to burn his flash to get a kick. End of the day, not going to mean much. FBI runs away from the culling turret down to 1/3, and Abbeddage was on split push, so turret number 3 is killed.
Exactly. They don't need to overcommit there. They try to drop the Equalizer to make Lost back it up, but TSM overloaded the mid lane to defend there. As a result, they lose that bottom tower. You can see Ssumday is back up towards the top side, pushing this in, and now, because it is uneven numbers, they see the Lucian, they see the Gragas out on those side lanes. There's nothing to stop 100 Thieves from marching in and taking this tower. They have been so clean at snowballing their advantages in this game, taking these jungle fights where they have come out ahead, immediately forcing the Baron, grabbing that, pressuring in 3 lanes, and they are just expanding this gold lead so incredibly fast.
And they just let the cannon shoot down the turret. 2 more autos will knock it down, and there it is. Walking in for good measure, take a turret shot, who cares? But I guess they're pushing in bot. That turret's at half HP itself. And now they can siege mid again as the new wave is already reinforced. Getting cut down somewhat, but that still means some turret damage. Leeson also pushing in the top lane, so 100 Thieves just pushing in all 3 lanes. They've got the vision control to not be flanked. They know where the enemy champions are, and they're just collecting their gold.
Pretty much any time you see Huni on the map, you don't really have to be worried about an engage from TSM. That is one of the weaknesses of this squad. The most explosive engage besides him is Udyr running at you and bear stunning you, right? So this is allowing 100 Thieves to push very aggressively. As long as Ssumday has eyes on Huni, the rest of the squad isn't worried at all.
Couple ults come down onto Lost. He, of course, doesn't have cleanse. Doesn't want to burn the ult. He doesn't need to. Able to walk away, but that means it probably trip to the fountain as Locket is popped just to walk in and take a little bit of damage as they try to hit this turret, but still wave cleared well enough. The Baron ends. They will not knock down an inhibitor or an inhibitor turret. They just get them low. Still, money earned, 8K gold lead, next dragon in 20 seconds.
And that is 4 towers taken during that with this final tower here. They got both the mid ones, they got the tier 2 in top as well as bot. So that is a lot of gold going the way of 100 Thieves. You can see up above an 8,000 gold lead at this point, and you look at even just some of the individual matchups become very, very concerning. Kaisa being 3,000 gold ahead. PowerOfEvil has good farm. He's trying to keep pace with Abbeddage, but he's so strong at this point of the game, and all of these gold leads seem to be amounting in these item completions as Ssumday has Asterix now on top, and they can put themselves to soul point.
Here we go, red buff attempt. Easily smited, and not going to be... Maybe he didn't have a second charge, wanted to save it for Dragon, not sure. But Rebuff goes over to Lost, so he's got that bit for power. Obviously, being down an item kind of sucks. He's got Gale Force and half a Lord Dominix. FPS of a Phantom Dancer and most of Infinity Edge.
And I really like the investment into the stopwatch here, right? You know, this is kind of that one fight power. And because they have this massive gold lead, they have the luxury of spending money on that. You have one on Ssumday, you have one on FBI. This allows them to play a little bit more aggressive, to dive into the back line and buy time with that stopwatch, because you are so far ahead, you do not need to maximize efficiency as far as the items you're purchasing. You can have that pit stop for the stopwatch, and I think it's really, really valuable. It makes it so tough to win this next fight for TSM, and really if they lose next fight, they probably lose the game.
Almost certainly. They're, of course, on the door of their inhibitors themselves. Baron up in 115. We'll see if Under Thieves play it slowly and just play for top river. Honestly, the entire Baron siege they had was by the book. It was play tri-lane, right? We've got a Lucian split, we've got an Akali split. Those are both going to feel really comfortable. And as you mentioned, they got 4 turrets for it. That's great. That's, you know, the 2,000 gold plus, you know, any of the jungle camps is still away. That's good. That's great. That's a good, solid gain, and ended it with the Dragon afterwards. So they haven't given TSM an easy way in. As you had mentioned, the Huni Gragas, one of the only real clutch engage tools out there. So, hey, if he's tracked, you're not going to just, like, surprise lose a fight. You're up gold. Yeah,
and that's why I like that they're playing 1-3-1, right? Because you force Huni to answer Ssumday in the top lane, and then everywhere else, you have no worries at all. You massively outstat your opponents, you have way more gold, and if Huni is there, there's no engage options for TSM. Yes, Huni has a lot of CDR, he's got the Summoner spell cooldown as well with the Lucidity boots, so he can make some plays happen potentially, but 100 Thieves really knows the only way you'd possibly lose is some sort of a miracle engage, so they're just spreading the map, they're running TSM all over, and just extending this gold lead slowly but surely.
So here we go. Baron is back alive. Control wards down. Not inside the pit, but enough to track any of the meaningful vision TSM could have put down, so the wards can be swept. And as mid is pushed in, Akali's pushing in bot, Lee Sin's shoved in top. It's time to collect up on the river, but okay, TSM spotted out. And again, they don't have the clutch invade or the clutch engage tools really, right? FBI was on the same screen and felt completely untouchable despite having, okay, yeah, he's got flash, so he's got that one tool, but you don't want to burn that for free. Didn't have to. Again, there's not really any good way in, so Baron is being set up. It's full fog of war. At what point do they start?
Yeah, I think they're just going to continue pushing in these waves, clearing out vision. Once they sweep out a little bit more of this, we may see them start. Of course, it's pretty easy to tell when they're on it, because if FBI is showing, they just don't really have the damage to actually knock down this Baron with any sort of pace. So if FBI is missing, that's when you have to be a little bit worried here for TSM. And we may see the blue trinket committed now because he's been absent from mid lane for a while.
So heavy damage on the Baron, rushing it down pretty quickly. 3 full items on the Kaisa, half HP now. Spica is the one you got to watch for. He can smite. Equalizer, not doing a ton. TP flank coming in. That's going to be the fight then as the ultis come across. Huhi knocked up, a little bit low on health. Damage towards Abbeddage, marked right now by Huni. Not an easy target, this Gragas. And so as the Baron bait begins, TSM answer it well to get rid of the control wards, and 100 Thieves burn the TP and otherwise gained nothing. I guess Huni burned his as well, so call it an equal trade. A couple ults came down from 100 Thieves, though. They meant nothing as well. But now, as TSM get hemmed in, you can look at the mid lane again. Abbeddage wants to clear that one out, but be careful. He's going to be slowed up by Huni. Goes invisible, but where does he want to go? Has to burn Rocket Belt and E, and off he runs as now 100 Thieves turn back onto the Baron to try yet again. Abbeddage still, with his ult, with his flash, is a major threat. Blue trinket burned in again. We look at the next fight. Ult is coming up fairly soon from the jungle support of 100 Thieves, but watch out for Spica. 900, a flat smite in both cases. Walking back down the river, and the Baron resets yet again.
Yeah, they're looking to get some trip damage down.
Pulling damage on Huni, but body slam is a threat. You can't easily jump in. Gets not much. Ult comes across. Stopwatch. Explosive cast. Here comes the hard engage. Lee Sin comes in. Finds nothing. Closer, though. Gets the kill in top lane, but trades back for Leona. So 4v4 yet again. And with an 8,000 gold deficit, TSM can get a 1-for-1 in a team fight. That is impressive. You have to give them credit for that.
Absolutely. And it looks like they were pushing forward here. Do decide to back off, but I mean, you said it, when you're that far behind, an even trade does advantage the team that is behind, right? You are closing the gold gap if you are trading gold back and forth like that. The concern is going to be this next Dragon, where TSM will have to fully commit to it. You can rush down the Infernal so fast, so TSM is going to have to be confident about how they find this fight. Flashes are available for everyone as people were not willing to fully commit, I think largely because they knew the Infernal is going to be such a critical fight here. The IE is now completed for FBI, so he has that. He almost has the GA as well. Everyone just trying to complete as much power as they can right now. Double Void Staff coming through for mid-jungle on the 100 Thieves side. TSM is scraping together pieces, but they're just not at the same level of power. So it's got to be outplays. It's got to be the X factor, and you're, again, just looking towards Huni.
Ultis are up, and we have the Infernal Soul available for 100 Thieves if they can land the Smite. Push Spica out of the way. Ssumday, of course, can help guarantee that one, and it can look easy. So Dragon being started, TSM feeling a bit of the pressure. No one split pushing, it's just the fight right now. Ssumday fighting Huni, that looks pretty good. Abbeddage on the wings, on a ward though. Has to be respectful of what the re-engage could look like. Huni goes in, body time flash, but the cast does not put him into the team. Equals over the top, Abbeddage ready to keep fighting as well. Huni running away for dear life.
Ssumday.
Almost dead. Ssumday, where does he go in? He's gonna find the fight and get a bit of damage, but rooted in place. Burns a stopwatch, Spica flashes, but not to safety. 2 for 0 so far. FBI opens up for 2. A third comes in for Ssumday. Now a flash out for PowerOfEvil, wants to knock down Ssumday, cannot do so. FBI in the chase, finds his third kill of the fight, and now Huni has nowhere to go. Huhi gonna be rooted and knocked back. It does not matter. He'll be killed by the Leona, and Ace comes through, and the Dragon is not needed. The Bud Light Ace is all the 100 Thieves need to go for the end of the game.
They got the minions in mid, they got the minions in bot, they're gonna TP in, and this should do it.
It might be at least the double inhibitors. There's a chance to go for the Nexus, but they might just go for the inhibs and then also just turn back to the Dragon. Respawns 15 seconds for Lost, 30 for Huni, 25 for PowerOfEvil. They are going for the Nexus with 4 right now as they keep on pushing forward. Leona joining in soon. SwordArt is here. First Nexus being attacked. That one's going to go down. Here comes Equalizer yet again. They're going to get the kill onto Braum, and the second one as easy as that. 32 minutes. They're going to find the win. TSM find their first loss the summer split. The stopwatch save his KDA, and they'll do so. Abbeddage finds his second champion to find a win in the LCS.
Nicely done. 100 Thieves coming out hot today. They were looking so good in that game against TSM, really dictating the pace of the game from very early on. Really from the first Herald fight up on the top side, finding a decisive win there. They constantly forced fights around these chokes in the jungle, utilizing the equalizer so incredibly well. Abbeddage able to clean up in a couple of those fights and got so far ahead that when he's constantly threatening these flanks, the double marksman composition of TSM was never really able to enter the fight and get that kind of front-to-back fight where they want to free fire, where the Braum is up in front between you and the carries. Abbeddage was always threatening that flank, and they just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, really nicely done. So TSM 3-1 so far in the summer split. Obviously, they are still the first place team. For now, they are still half a game ahead of Cloud9. We'll see if they catch up, but it means that we have 100 Thieves getting that much closer. Now just one full game behind. They can take that first place spot before too long.
And that's 3 wins in a row now, right?
Yeah.
They lost